Fela Duratoye, Obi Ezekwesili, Kingsley Moghalu and Sowore were considered the third force. But what happened? Where did they lose the form of the force? Big question. The All Progressive Congress had so many issues and many point fingers at Oshomole, but is he really the problem of the APC? This is Plus Politics and I am Mariana Kong. From the pact that became unpacked, from the party that pulled the plug from Obi Ezekwesili, many were hopeful about the third force and about how they really did not make an impact at the 2019 elections. This is what we're going to be looking at this evening. But joining me to have this conversation, I have Rahman Adebi. He is the chairman of the Lagos State chapter of the Liberation Movement. It's good to have you join us.
Thank you very much.
And also seated next to him, we have Segun Sopitan. He is the BOT chairman, ACT Network. It's good to have you, Segun.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so of course from my intro you can tell where we're going this evening. Of course, the third force, when the word itself came up, everybody was wondering, third force, it sounds really great, but what force are they bringing with them? Who are the people who make up the third force? And then all of a sudden, things started happening. So, from Fela Duratoye to Kingsley Moghalu to Sowore, the breakdown started happening. And then, of course, everybody decided to be a presidential candidate. That's where the rot began. But then one would wonder, in all of this, it looks like at some point they picked up their act and decided that maybe they would form a force. But what happened to that force? I'll start with you because you are part of a political party. And the third force was supposed to liaise with different political parties to form a movement against, the norm.
Yeah. It was a widely accepted, credible alternative that Nigerian people wanted. And the question is, we have multiple parties coming on board as new, as fresh, as people who have not been into politics before, coming to test their hands and to get into the space and to allow Nigerians to enjoy the democratic opportunity. But what happened, it's critical that the third force was spoken up by the former president Olusegun Obasanjo. And when he said that, of course, so many Nigerians were really happy, excited, because everybody wants something new. Everybody felt they've tested the first PDP, the APC is here. Let's see something new. But
there were also people who actually thought that Obasanjo was trying to come up with a new political party because
he was actually fronting for quite a number of political parties. We don't want to mention them now. But the question is, the third force should have come into play. And what are the reasons why the third force did not come into being? Yes, and everybody has been engaging me with that question for a while. And I keep telling them, for you to have a third force, then you must start early enough. Because,
how early is early?
Yeah, how early is early in this case of 2019 is minimum of 2 years down the line. Because you have multiplicity of parties. If you want that, you have 93, take away 2 parties, you want the rest of them to fuse into one and, bring a formidable, credible alternative. That is not going to come easy, especially when it's 6 months to the 2 elections. Because all the hula baloo and the noise started about October. And you have only 1 month to put your act together and submit your list to INEC. And but having said that, it was an experiment that people had different promoted different coming together in impact in some other ones that people were not even aware of. But what happened? Individual interest and political structure, the synergy was not coming as much. And critical factors of funding, of campaign strategy fusing together. So at the time, I was telling people, there's no way this third force will happen now. Everybody is going to go to the poll, test their hands, and get it really dirty, know how it feels. Because in losing, you're a winner. You understand? And that was why I was wondering why Obi Kwesili has to pull out of the race. Yes.
Again, I'm coming to you, Segun. He's saying timing was wrong. One of the first problems was the timing. But is that just it? Because you said when you heard the former president bring up this idea, lots of people were excited.
Yeah, that was in
so could it also
January,
be that persons, maybe it was, people were expecting credibility? Because I remember the Third Force did have, they had an open registration. They were asking people to come and register. So could it also be that the people that were wanted or were needed to pull the Third Force kind of weight did not avail themselves of the opportunity?
I don't think it's just that. That's probably one of the issues, but for me, my personal opinion is the intention and the objectives of floating the idea of a third force at that time was merely opportunistic. So you had a situation where it was beginning to become obvious that there was a lot of discontent in the society, in the country. If you step back a bit to 2015 and the run-up to the elections, the hopla, you know, there was a lot of positive energy around the candidacy of President Buhari at that time, with people expecting, so the party also played on the change mantra. That raised a lot of expectations, and as we all now know, those expectations fell flat on their face. A lot of promises were not fulfilled in varying degrees.
But that's where opportunity comes in.
Yes.
So when you say it was opportunistic, I mean, opportunities are supposed to be taken advantage of.
Yeah, sure. But I think that the idea behind the third force was more because, if the president and the government had performed better than they did in those 4 years, nobody would be talking of a third force. So the issue was, there was a lot of discontent because performance had fallen short of expectation, and politicians, being who they are, saw an opportunity and jumped in, not necessarily because they had better ideas or that they really believed that, you know, they could offer a more credible alternative at that time.
So what you're telling me is that politicians took advantage of a loophole or an opportunity. It brings me to the question I always ask: where's the role of us, we, the people, the populace, the people who you are saying are unsatisfied or were not contented with what they had on ground, or at some point fell out of love with the person in power? Where were we supposed to come in? We wanted a change of sorts. If not, a few people didn't want, but more people wanted a change. How come we didn't take advantage? Because we're more than these handful of politicians who are trying to take advantage of that opportunity. Where did we fall in all of this?
I think the electorate themselves are not. They are not. What I found in the space during the period that the election was going on, there's a distort in the psychology of the electorate, especially those that vote, which are those at the lowest grassroots. And the question in which I preached personally was, vote your conscience. And I realized that even they are not ready to vote their conscience. They were ready to be induced. So it means that the ideology that has been planted in their head over a period of time, up until 2015, you know, still replayed itself, which is the politics of money and intimidation and what have you. And
so the question is, what exactly are we tired of? Because if you say you're tired, then it means you have to be tired of all of the things, including vote buying, including manipulations.
But the question is, are the people themselves ready? Yes, they are. In their heart of heart, they're willing.
We're tired, but we're not ready.
Yeah, in their heart of heart, they're willing. But physically, because of the economic challenges, because of the intimidation, and because of the bandwagon effect of, whoa, if I don't vote for the government in power now, I can be intimidated. I'm a market woman in Obalende. If I don't do this now, they'll come after me after the election. So people's right and freedom has been subsumed in those fear. So the vote buying was there, and then the rigging element of other things were there. So the people, and then this mentality of Bo Tie Dibo Otiwole is saying that even if you don't vote, we know how we're going to share the votes and make it count for who's going to win. So the mentalities, all this mentality put together was a challenge for the people. And the militarization of everything now made it worse off, because the people now saw that, wow, okay, the new dimension is going to be materialized. So, and that sent a lot of people sitting in their homes.
I'll come to you, Segun. There was a professor who was quoted when he was asked about why, you know, the third force failed, and this is what he said. I think his name is Solomon Ayigba, professor in political science from Obafemi Awolowo University, Ife. Now, he says that the policy that guards the formation of a political party in Nigeria is too loose. He believes that the proliferation of parties is healthy for systems, a democratic system in our country. He said the problem is that the problem we have in Nigeria in terms of political party is that the regulation of registering political parties is too loose. It's not something watertight. Now, it brings me to the issue of tiny parties. There was a call, again, we don't know the percentage of people who were asking for fresh blood. We want new people to be, you know, put into the system. But then we just put something on our screen. I want us to put it back up, where we showed the votes of these new people who we've been asking for. I mean, look at the gap between Showore had the highest votes apparently. He came 10th. He had 33,953 votes nationwide, followed by Obieze-Kwesili, who had pulled out of the elections a few days to the elections. She came 25th. Oh, apparently, I'm sorry, Donald Duke actually came ahead of Showore, my bad. He came 9th. He had 34,746. Now, we also have Fela Durotoye, who came 17th with 16,779 votes, while Kingsley Moghalu, who came 14th, had 21,886 votes. So again, when you look at this list and you look at what people are saying, whether on social media or whether you are interviewing them, or those of us who are political analysts in beer parlors and in our sitting rooms, you see a disparity. So again, it comes back to what you said. We are tired, but we're not ready. So it makes us really wonder when that readiness will be made available to us, or when are we going to show people that we're ready? Because if we have people like Kingsley Moghalu and Obieze-Kwesili, I mean, is it that these people are not credible enough in our eyes, or are we okay with the old? We just want the old to turn new. I don't know. I'm just confused in my head. I'm trying to wrap my head around it.
I'll tell you, you know, just think about it for a second. These guys were aspiring to become the president of the biggest black nation in the world, the biggest economy in Africa, the 26th biggest economy in the world. It's not child's play. So this is not something, it wasn't about their credibility. It was about their preparedness. And when I say preparedness, it's not just in terms of the political process. It was that they had not been groomed for this position. The presidency is not just going to happen to you in 1 year. It's not going to happen to you in fact, I dare say, it's not going to happen to you in 5 years. Look at all the people that have been president in Nigeria and probably in other parts of the world. You've been in the system in one way or the other, either as an appointee or as an elected officer. Look at the president of France, who was elected at 31. People thought that just happened. The guy had been in politics and governance for 10 years before then, as a young guy. You know, so Professor Kingsley Moghalu, Showore, you know, a number of these guys are my friends. Good guys, intelligent, you know, successful in their own right in their different areas. But to run the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it will take more than just having run an online newspaper outfit to
But
get
we have
Nigerians to trust you.
Donald Duke who has been an administrator. He's been a commissioner. He's been a governor.
Yeah.
He ran against while he was in the PDP, ran against Goodluck Jonathan and Yaradua. I think yes, he was deputy. And at some point Yaradua won, so he was the flag bearer. But we have people like that. Although we all know what happened in the SDP, which somewhat killed.
Exactly.
But again, I'm trying to understand what happens in the mind of the average Nigerian. Let's not even talk about the presidency. Let's talk about grassroots. Let's say for councillors and chairmen, the grassroots elections.
Yeah.
Why do we not necessarily see these, permit me to use the word loosely, mushroom political parties going for those, start somewhere before you go. We only see them for governorship, houses of assemblies, House of Representatives. You know who I'm going to ask this question already. Why do you not take advantage? Because he's saying, because you said we need to take advantage of the grassroots. You need to spread, and it's not something you can do overnight.
Absolutely.
So why is that a challenge for smaller political parties?
I think I need to make it clear. There's no word like tiny parties. All political parties go through the same process. That's one. Two is that
tiny in this sense, you're rich.
Membership base.
Membership base and how far you have gone, because there are some of these political parties that do not have bases in certain local government areas.
I'll explain to you. You can use the word lesser known parties. Do you understand?
Lesser known.
Lesser known party is allowed because everybody on the platform of INEC went through the same criteria and got listed and registered. So, but be that as it is, to the question, local government election that will give room for the councillorship and chairman is going to happen in 2 years' time in Lagos, at different time in other part of Nigeria. And the question now is that the election into the federal government executive positions and the state out of assembly and governorship was what we had. And every other party participated in it in terms of the old party, the new party, and the lesser known parties. And the question is, how well did they participate down in those less controversial positions like the presidency? The presidency is about the only role everybody is trying to chastise people for. For the other positions of House of Assembly, the governorship, House of Rep, and the Senate, yes, not every political party participated because you're looking at where you have your strong point. And when you have your strong point, you will see that as an opportunity to come forward. Like for my party, for instance, I had only 5 seats in Lagos, contested 1 Senate, 1 Rep, 3 House of Assembly members. And in those constituencies that we participated, we came the third force because we were focused. And in Koshofe, for instance, we were the third. In Lagos Central, we were the third. After Senator Tinubu Onitiri, he was Helem. Do you understand? In Oshodi, Isolo local government, we were the third. We actually were the second. But of course, because of the vote buying and what have you, intimidation, of course, the usual word, the Oluomo saga, everything went berserk. But of course, it shows that for us to come the third, it means that we were strategic and we did our homework well. So, and we were not ready to play the politics of the old, because if we have done that and bag of cash, maybe the people will follow us. But
you see, again, you are coming with a different persona, permit me to use that, or a different ideology. You're saying we want to take you away from what you know.
Yes.
We want to bring you something real, something true.
Sure.
Why not spend that time before the president? Because we only hear of these political parties during elections. Why do you not spend the time before the elections to educate people? Go into the grassroots, let people know you. Don't wait till it's time when INEC says you have to pay to do your campaigns. Why are you not joining the conversations? Why are you not participating or even starting the conversation? This is my next question. After elections, and I did talk to you about this, after elections, the lesser known parties, even the major oppositions, they literally go to sleep, except maybe it has to do with something controversial and then you hear them. Or maybe the party in power makes one mistake, then you hear their voice. Why do those parties who are supposed to be playing serious opposition go to sleep? Is it because you're supposed to appear only before elections, or I don't know? Why does the conversation not continue? For example, your party, the likes of the Showareys and the Kingsley Mogulus, who are saying, oh, we have great ideas and we think we can move this country ahead. While you're on the other side, why are you not playing a healthy opposition?
Yeah, of course, my party is young. My party is about 9 months now. And then the credible alternative and opposition force that people are looking for is what we are giving on the table. Like I said, we have realized that Nigerians don't want you to be a leap year political party that comes up every 4 years or comes up. The question that people don't understand is political party is an avenue, is a platform for people to come together. Grassroots mobilization, you will not hear on mainstream. You will not hear about that. You know, that will be going on, and that's what everybody is trying to do at the moment. I don't know for some other parties, but for my party, I'm too sure of that. Then the question of how formidable are you as an opposition to ensure that you put and hold accountable on behalf of the people, the ruling government, so that the people will enjoy the robustness of a opposition and that is holding the regime accountable. And that's what we're doing. And that's why, before now, I don't know why the PDP in Lagos State is not doing that. But that's why, that is what the new parties are standing for. Because we are saying that we have credible solutions to what you're offering. And those solutions, we are going to be telling Nigerians, this is, if this is how it was done and it failed, Nigerians, this could have been done better. Because at the end of the day, we want a better society for all. Even before we get into power, we want to be singing the song of relief, of liberation to the people in such a way that they will be excited, they will be happy. The yearning will be there for them to wait and say, we want to enthrone these people with the power to be able to govern.
All right, Shegun, what now? I mean, the third force is... No, you want to add to what he said?
Yeah, I was
okay, quickly.
Very quickly, my view and our experience over the last 20 years of
just for those who do not know, so the ACT network you said is
it's a good governance
advocacy group. Okay,
yes,
great.
Yes. So we do a lot of research. We're informed about these types of things because we're interested. That's what we're out to push. For instance, one of the things we talk about is engagement. You can never have good governance without engagement. And what you're asking is at the core of engagement. The political parties are supposed to offer alternative ideas and criticism, a focus of the criticism of society, to the main party in power at that point. But you see, what we have in Nigeria is, from experience, majority of these political parties are put up as a vehicle to attain power. Once you miss out on that mission and you fail, now when we say attain power, it's not necessarily even to win office. It's that you put up some sort of a perceived effort in trying to get elected. And then you can take the outcome of that and use it to shop for appointments. Majority of the political parties that we have
But that is a mindset that we all ought to be trying to reverse or erase totally, because again, there's that notion that every time you hear a tiny political party or even a bigger political party, he's going to kill me tonight. Whenever you hear, these people criticizing the government in power, they're looking for something, and the moment allegedly something is given to them, they go quiet. Why can we not constructively come up with ideas? It is the choice of, the government in power to take those ideas or not.
Exactly.
Because you told us that you had interesting ideas to bring to the table. Because you're not in power does not make that idea obsolete.
Absolutely.
So where do we go from here? The third force is no longer a force. So what next? How do we push the ideology of the third force without it being political season? I mean, I think every year is a political year,
Well, so the first thing that these political parties must do, including, my good friend's party, the first thing that they have to do is they've got to understand that they can't hibernate, right? Now, what we're asking them to do takes resources to do. to put out ideas out there. It won't just happen like that. You've got to organize events. You've got to call press conferences, do press releases, have meetings, town halls, and all of that. This is going to take money and human capital resources.
Whatever happened to partnerships with non-governmental organizations and faith-based organizations who can actually partner or empower these political parties?
They can't do that because they're a political party. So a lot of those people you're talking about would not want to associate with you. Now, for my organization, I can go to those people you're talking about because we are apolitical. We're sitting in the middle. But once you say you're a political party, many of these guys won't fund you. So they have got to rise to the challenge of how to raise their membership base and therefore raise funding that is not driven by money bags so that they can push ideas. That's got to be the agenda for the next 4 years, for the next 2 years. If they don't do that, they'll have it.
You have your job cut out for you. Unfortunately, we don't have time, so we have to go for a quick break. When we come back, well, the problem of the APC, for some people, they will say, it no be today. Well, when we come back, we'll talk about the fact that there are people who are pointing fingers at the party chairman as the source of the imbroglio that has been brewing in the party. We'll be right back.